Hi Gemini, welcome to your November 2018 Tarology 33 reading. We have a Celtic Cross spread in front of us. Normally it's a 10 card spread, but you guys actually got 3 extra cards in the position of the main situation. That's a first. Pretty intense. And then we'll read the Oracle card at the end as usual to help tie everything together. But let's get started going through these cards one by one. Alright. So, in the main situation, we have the 10 of Pentacles. There we go. Focus now. We have the Star card. We have the Magician card. And we have the Queen of Wands. So to just do a quick rundown of them one by one before we go into how they all seem to work together in this setting. The 10 of Pentacles, that's normally a Virgo card for me, the last 10 degrees of Virgo. So this could have been something that you started kicking off maybe in the middle of September. But this could also just mean financial stability, just stability in general, home, family life as well. You know, this could be you going to see your families. I know, Thanksgiving's coming up in the States, for example. Could just represent that, but getting more of a vibe that it might be something to do with you and seeing some stability in your life and progress. The Star card, this is the Major Arcana card for Aquarius, so it's certainly possible some of you could be dealing with Aquarius, but usually this is also seen as a wish card as well. I see it as being detached from ego too, if you think of the term naked in your truth. That's what this card represents to me because it comes after the Tower card, and Tower to me is something that is meant to knock your ego down a bit. The Magician, to me this card represents the beginning of a journey, so you could just be starting over, but everything is on the table for you to access, as you can see. And this also represents the South Node for me. And the South Node is about to leave Aquarius soon, so combine that with that, there's definitely some Aquarius vibes going there. And lastly, the Queen of Wands. This is my court card for Aries normally. So some of you could be dealing with an Aries, embodying that energy, that Mars energy that Aries has. The other way I look at it, though, is to look at where Mars will be moving. And it's going to be going into your 10th house in November, so that's certainly, this could point to some kind of career progress, especially with that 10 of Pentacles. And then what will be going on with Mars will be Uranus will be going back into Aries actually in November, so that could be what this is pointing to as well. Just a lot of energies on the table. But the primary thing I'm seeing here is that you have the possibility for abundance, success, and progress, be it financially or just anything that you're working on to bring you stability. With the Star card, beyond what I already said, I used to look at this card and ask myself, well, why does it look like she's pouring water back in from where she got it from? It seems kind of pointless, right? But then I started to think about it from the perspective of how we would normally think of Aquarian energy. They're sometimes referred to as the humanitarians. So, to me, this is an understanding that, if you just take and take and take and don't put anything back, eventually that's going to end up empty, right? So, it's putting back what you get out of something. That's what I view this as, and that also would go along with the theme of removing ego from the situation. Like I said, the Magician just means that everything's on the table for you. You're able to manifest right now. This is a powerful time for you in that regard. And like I said, the Queen of Wands, to me, like I said, it could be an Aries you're dealing with, or it could be pointing to where Mars will be, which is moving into your 10th house, or where what will be going on in the sign of Aries, which is we're going to have Uranus moving back into that house, which is 11th house as well, which is the house that Aquarius normally rules, so there's more of an Aquarian vibe there. And Mars will be moving out of Aquarius into Pisces, so that's another Aquarian vibe there. So definitely some Aquarius vibes all over the place for me right now. Let's see, in the Challenger obstacle position, we have the Judgment card. So to me, this normally represents something coming back from the past. It could be someone coming back from the past as well, obviously. And I also see this as a Scorpio card for me. Scorpio and or the 8th house is often referred to as the sign of death and rebirth. And the death card is always associated with Scorpio, but I also associate the Judgment card with Scorpio as far as the rebirth aspect of that. So this could be something coming back around that you didn't expect to come around, which wouldn't be too surprising. We're going to have Venus moving back into your 5th house of Libra in November, and that's your 5th house. So it could be an old love relationship, whether it got off the ground or not. And then also your ruler, Mercury, will be going retrograde in the middle of the month. So that could bring things back around too. Things, places, people. So that's what I'm seeing with that. The good thing is, though, it's normally something that you didn't expect to come back around, or not, you didn't expect to have another chance at, but usually with Judgment in the upright like it was here, that is a positive. But with it as a challenge or obstacle too, it could be saying that that is the challenge. The challenge for you to get this success is to go back to the past in some way. So we'll see how that plays out as we go along. In the foundation position, we have the Knight of Swords. This is normally my Gemini card. So, I mean, with all these good things going on in the main situation, and as you feeling like yourself again. But, I mean, one thing that does stand out to me too is the fact that he's pointing that way towards the past position. And with Mercury retrograde, that could be pointing to that as well. And Judgment, definitely something regarding the past coming back up. To be handled in some way. But for some of you, this could just mean rapid communication, traveling for some of you. I know I'll be traveling. A lot of us will be, though, with the holidays coming up, like I said. So that could go a few different ways. But I would say what I'm seeing is this is just you feeling like you're back in the saddle again, no pun intended, with the horse. All right. In the past position, we have the Emperor. There we go. Didn't want to focus for a second. So this is actually my major arcana card for Aries. So this is another card pointing to Aries again. So some of you definitely could be dealing with an Aries. Or once again, it could be pointing to what's going on with the ruler of Aries, which, like I said, will be going out of Aquarius, which is your 9th house, into your 10th house, and we'll have Uranus going back retrograde into Aries for a bit. It's been in Taurus. It's actually going to be a part of that full moon we're having. I'm actually recording this right around the time of the full moon for October, actually. So almost right after that Taurus full moon, it's going to cross into the sign of Aries again for a bit. So this could just point to the fact of something sudden taking place, but also, again, with this in the past position, something that was already on the table at one point, but maybe fell apart for whatever reason. And this could just be, maybe saying you, perhaps, if that Queen of Wands energy is your energy, maybe saying in the past you were a lot, or at least felt more in control back then, and this can sometimes be a card seen as ego too, and being controlling, so that's a possibility. So maybe saying from the Emperor to the Queen of Wands, you've humbled yourself in some way. But I see it as mostly positive regardless, because there's a lot of good cards in that main situation position. For some of you, it could be someone you were dealing with. There's been a theme for a lot of the signs this month, and it makes sense with Venus going retrograde of people seeing people more clearly. So maybe there was someone you saw as higher than you at one point in the past, but now you're seeing them more realistically. And maybe that's where your confidence comes back into play. Perhaps that's certainly a possibility. In the present position, we have the King of Pentacles. So this is actually my court card for Taurus. So some of you could be dealing with a Taurus as well. With the Ten of Pentacles in the main situation, though, this could just be how you're feeling right now. You could be feeling like you're in a position of abundance. I'm recording this too late to tell you guys to go play Mega Millions if you're in the States, but go play Powerball tomorrow because maybe there's some good luck finance vibes with these cards going on right now. But yeah, this to me, again, like I did with the Aries energy too, this could be pointing to what's going on in Taurus, and that would be the full moon, which is happening right about now. And like I said, there's some pretty intense energy going on with that. It's going to be opposite Venus, that's in retrograde, and then it's going to be squaring the North and South node too, which are in Leo and Aquarius right now. So can be a pretty intense full moon, and maybe that brings some sudden windfall to you in some way, or just has you at least feeling more stable and secure. The Taurus energy too is a lot more patient and relaxed than the Knight of Swords energy, for example, and even the Queen of Wands, that Aries energy. So maybe you're just feeling less wound up right now. In the near future position, we have the High Priestess. So a lot of times for me, this card represents Pisces, and it doesn't want to focus right now. Maybe that's a message in itself, or maybe I just suck at focusing the card right now. But yeah, this represents Pisces to me sometimes, and also intuition. Intuition and being in firm control over your emotions. If we look at that, it looks like a foot. She has her foot over the moon there. That represents emotional control to me, stability, and just trusting, So maybe whatever's going on, what's going in place, and if we look at that judgment horn blowing right in that direction too, that could be saying that in order to achieve these things, you need to trust your intuition. So if you're getting some kind of vibes about something, maybe moving in a certain direction, reconnecting with someone or not reconnecting with someone, you should probably trust your intuition, and that'll help bring everything together for you. In the position of your influence on the situation, we have the King of Swords. So this is actually the court card for Aquarius for me. So once again, I'm seeing an Aquarius vibe for you guys. Like I said, with Uranus going back into Aries, and Aries being your 11th house as a Gemini, Uranus pretty much is the ruler of Aquarius as well. So you could just be feeling that real Aquarian energy when that happens. Maybe a little bit more independent than normal. But also, like I said, on the plus side, it could be humanitarian as well. So you might be in a position of giving, especially if you're in a position of abundance, that normally would spark people to be in that position of giving. And with holidays coming up, people get into that spirit as well. So that's certainly a possibility. But another way that I see this is with the Knight of Swords here, moving to the King of Swords, could be talking about maturity as well. We look at the Emperor in the past, the King of Pentacles. That's a real steady energy. High Priestess, trusting your intuition. So maybe, this is just pointing to growth for you in some way. That's another theme that I've been seeing this month too, is people growing quite a bit. So that's certainly a possibility. And then this is fixed energy too. So maybe just, especially with those energies at play, this is another fixed energy, just saying, letting things come to you perhaps to a certain extent, rather than rushing in like we may normally do. Sometimes we take on too much as Gemini, so that could be what's going on there. In the in the position of the environment's influence on a situation, we have the Eight of Wands. This is actually a card that represents the first 10 degrees of Sagittarius for me. So this could just be saying that you're going to have a lot going on when that happens. That'll be the last week of November, basically. And I know that'll be the case for me. I'll be traveling, seeing family and everything, and then coming back home. So I'm definitely going to have a lot going on that last week. But in general, this could just be a lot of people reaching out to you. Like I said, we're going to have Mercury going in retrograde. That could bring people back. Can bring miscommunication sometimes, but yeah, it's definitely known to bring people back from the past. We have the Five of Swords at the bottom of the deck also, so it could be someone you had a falling out with. Maybe there was some kind of petty conflict, and they're coming back around. That could be what this is about. Um, but yeah, I mean, and especially if this is what's going on in your life too, that success, that can draw people to you as well, for good or bad, just something to keep in mind there. So maybe that's what's going to be going on, or you could just be taking on a lot. I know this is going to be, even beyond me just going to see family this month, it's going to be a busy month for me. So this could be what you guys are feeling too, just a lot going on in your environment. But that's usually an energy that we're pretty good at handling. So not a bad thing at all. All right, in the hopes or fears position, we have the Chariot in reverse. So the Chariot to me represents a lot of times long distance travel. So usually overseas travel, or at least traveling somewhere by air versus, let's say, a 2 or 3 hour road trip. It just represents forward movement as well, though. Progress. Some people refer to this as a victory card. So when it's in reverse, to me, you could be fearing that you're not making progress as quickly as you'd like. And if that's the case, it does look like things will pan out for you. So, try to be relaxed if that's the case. For others of you, you might just fear going backwards, basically. And others of you, you might just be worried about travel issues. Because on top of the holiday travel, like I said, we're also going to have Mercury retrograde, so that could definitely bring travel issues. But this is just in the hopes or fears. If we're in another position, I would say it has a more likely chance of actually playing out this way. So in the hopes or fears, worst case, if you're worried about your car, getting an oil change or whatever you need to do before you travel, if you're going to be driving, make sure you get to the airport early, whatever the case may be, just to at least ease that anxiety if that's what it's about. All right, and in the outcome position, we have the Hermit. So this is actually my major arcana card for Virgo. There's not really going to be much going on in Virgo in November. But if we think of Virgo as the ruler of the 6th house, Scorpio is your 6th house. So this could just be saying that, with the energies at play with Venus moving out of that sign as we start the month of November, maybe you're just looking things over in your work life, maybe regarding health as well. Jupiter is going to be leaving that sign and going into Sagittarius early in November. So that could be you just reviewing, last minute review of, okay, do I want to make some changes to my daily routines, my diet, my exercise routine? Maybe overlooking, what do you want to do for work? That's a few ways they could play out. But sometimes this is just going inward too and reflecting on things that are going on. And with that High Priestess energy, those two definitely would seem to go well together. So maybe you'll just have so much going on that you just want to take some time to reflect on, wow, what happened, It definitely seems like a good thing anyway, at the very least, with this month. So it could be worse in that regard. It seems like it's going to be positive progress, but it might just seem so sudden and so much might happen that by the end of it, you just want a little time to reflect and just review everything that happened. All right, let's take a look at the Oracle card. So the card you got was By the Book. There's the artwork for it, and the number is 11. So if that has any significance for you guys, one thing that comes to me, 11 is a master number, and then on top of that, 11 is, again, that's the house of that Aquarius naturally rules, and it's the house that Uranus will be traveling back into this month. So something to keep in mind there. All right, it says essential meanings: abiding by social rules, conformity, respecting cultural or family customs, universal laws. The Oracle's message: the universe works within a structure of divine laws and principles that provides a framework for human experience and evolution. The law of abundance, the law of prayer, the law of karma, the law of attraction, the law of thought, the law of compensation, and the law of nature are only a few that are known. These principles create perfect order and operate with a kind of precision beyond human understanding. Even revolution has its place in universal law. Human beings, in turn, have their own laws and customs that vary from culture to culture and family to family. Laws keep social order and govern behavior, reflecting an instinctive understanding that harmony is important. This is a time to learn these laws and conform to them, rather than being the rebel and flouting them. When this card appears, submit to structure and follow the rules, even if they seem to make no sense. Release resistance, for universal laws will correct any disharmony. Open your eyes to these universal laws, and it will be easier to go by the book at this time. So, I mean, if the one thing that pops out to me about that was a pretty long message. They must have known I was doing a reading for an air sign, but the Emperor in the past position could represent potentially wanting to control your environment quite a bit, and now in the near future position, going to the High Priestess. That could be what it's talking about there, as far as relinquishing control to a certain to a certain point, and then with the Judgment in the Challenger obstacle position too, that could just be saying, let things play out. If things are out of order in that regard, rather than rushing in with that Knight of Swords energy, take that more fixed energy, just let things play out naturally rather than always feeling the need to take care of it yourself. And that could be what the Five of Swords energy is pointing out to as well. I get it. I know that's hard for me sometimes, usually I like to jump in and fix things one way or the other as soon as they go awry, but maybe that's what the message is for us. Like I said, the Emperor, the King, and then the High Priestess. Now, another King energy here. Those definitely represent more fixed energies and letting things come to you. All right. Now, for the relationship message, it says, getting along with others entails understanding and respecting who they have become as a result of their environment, culture, and experience. Find the middle ground that allows the relationship to flourish while honoring the individuality of the other person. Play things by the book instead of trying to break the rules or pressure others to conform to the way you want to do them. Your connection will deepen as a result. So, I don't think that's going to be too big of a reach for Geminis. I know Geminis are pretty open. Aquarians also in that regard, as far as being accepting. Aquarians might even exceed Geminis when it comes to accepting people from different cultures, backgrounds, environments, and whatever their lifestyle preferences are. So maybe that's what that's saying as well. And we'll read the prosperity message last. It says, at this time you can expect a return on your investment. Whatever you have pursued, be it a dream you've long cherished, a skill you've cultivated, or a service you're called to, will come to you if you are willing to go by the book. You don't need to reinvent the wheel to be successful. Follow in the footsteps of others who have already achieved the things you're striving for. You can learn a lot by observing the structures that are already working. Your creative projects and commitment to prosperity are in alignment with the needs of the world, but impatience may tempt you to cut corners to get there more quickly. Stick with what you know works, and you will attract abundance. So what sticks out to me there is the line that says, where'd it go? Impatience may tempt you to cut corners to get there more quickly. So when I see the Five of Swords energy, that's something that comes to mind, is using underhanded tactics sometimes. And the Knight of Swords energy, not necessarily a cutting corners energy, but it is an energy of rushing in versus, again, letting things play out and unfold a little bit more naturally. So it could just be saying, especially with the Hermit in the outcome, could just be saying, all right, there's a lot on your plate right now. Let it work itself out to an extent. Keep doing what you're doing, and just know that even if this is someone that does you wrong, just know with the Judgment card there, that's going to be taken care of, and you don't really have to sweat it too much. All right, so I think that's all the messages we have for this month. If you guys are interested in a private reading, you can go to the About section of my channel to find out more info on that. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next month. All right, bye.